So if you set up your fee types correctly in the back end of your software, so whether it's PropertyMe console or PropertyTree or any other software that you're using, set up your fee types and set the triggers up so that they automatically charge. So for instance, in PropertyMe, if you set up a lease renewal and you trigger that lease renewal in PropertyMe, it'll automatically charge that fee. So you never miss a fee. Don't miss fees. It's just crazy when I hear people say that they've missed out on leasing fees or advertising fees. You should have them set up to automatically trigger. And it's so easy to set up. It just amazes me that people don't do that. Set your fees up.
Welcome to the Property Management Podcast. I'm Kylie Walker. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I'm going to be honest. This isn't one of my favourite topics to talk about, and I tend to stick my head in the sand when it comes to numbers and figures and trust accounting. When I did my own daily receipting and trust accounting back in the early days of running my business, I kid you not, I stuffed it up almost every single time. Then I'd spend hours trying to work out where I'd made a mistake and trying to work out how to fix it. Rarely did I ever balance a reconciliation the first time. And if anyone can relate to that, I absolutely hear your pain. My very first hire was not a receptionist. It was someone to do the trust accounting for me. And luckily for me, these days, I get to surround myself with plenty of people who are quite literally the opposite of me, and they absolutely love numbers, including my guest today. She's a failed property manager, which, hey, there's no shame in that. Property management is not for everyone. But she found her passion in the administration and numbers side of things. And she just gets it and is well versed on the laws and legislation across the country and the different software programs and payment platforms. Nicole Johnston is the founder of Trusted Figures, an outsourcing trust accounting business that specializes in supporting the real estate business. Now, their vision was born from an influx of cloud-based software platforms and a desire to provide a more transparent and efficient service, a service where personal care, problem solving, and being ahead of the curve is at the core of their values. From trust accounting and consulting to software migration and training, Trusted Figures has a solution for businesses wanting to outsource some of their services. And let's be honest, with the cost of wages and the shortage of qualified property managers, outsourcing is becoming a much needed solution. So take a listen to my chat with Nicole and learn all the trust accounting secrets you might not know and how to prepare for a stress-free end of financial year. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me on the Property Management Podcast. Can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started doing what you're doing?
Hi, Kylie. Thank you so much for having me. So I fell into trust accounting, I don't know, well, I always say 20 years, but it's actually closer to 30.
You don't look old enough.
No, thank you for saying that. So I started off in a property development company called Mirvac, who you might have heard of them, and always wanted to do property management. I was like itching, and as soon as they started their department, I put my hand up. Lasted 2 months in property management. I hated it. I could not do it. I just could not do it. And clearly administration was my thing. So they very kindly sort of worked me into the administration and the trust accounting side. And I just kind of grew from there. And I stayed with them for a number of years, and then ended up going and working for another agency in Melbourne, in the city, a commercial agency, and they weren't busy enough for me. So then I ended up starting my own business, I don't know how long ago now, 20 plus years ago. Started doing consulting. That was before cloud-based systems. So I used to drive around to everybody's offices to do the trust accounting, and after a while I kind of got a little bit sick of that. Just hated driving all the time, and it was a different world back then. And then about 6 or 7 years ago now, I had an opportunity to go out on my own with another guy, and so we did that. And it's just kind of gone from there. We rebranded a few years ago now. I bought him out, and we rebranded to what's now Trusted Figures, and working with my husband, which surprisingly works really well. And yeah, we're not killing each other yet. And we've built a really good team across Australia and I'm loving it. It's, it's got my work-life balance and it's good fun. And I'm just one of those crazy people that loves numbers and trust accounting, but I can't do property management. I really can't.
Well, I'm the opposite of you. I can't do figures and trust accounting, and I love property management. And I'm not sure if you remember back when in the old console days, and you had to print out the bank statement and you had to manually receipt it. Well, mine would not balance every single day. I had made a mistake somewhere. I'm
Really?
just poor attention to detail. You don't know how many hours I wasted fixing my mistakes with just the daily receipting, not even the mid and end of month disbursements
Yep.
and reconciliations. This was just the daily banking.
Ellie. Yeah,
Yep.
wow.
So yeah, I take my hat off to you, and thank goodness that it's obviously the cloud-based has made things a lot
It's
easier.
totally changed our world, that whole cloud system. Back in the day, I used to be able to manage about 2,500 properties on my own, and it was a full-time job back then. But now that's not a full-time job anymore. It's so much easier, it's more automated, and look, we do take advantage of the software and its automations wherever we can to make it easier and so we don't get out of balance every day. Yeah, so yeah, I love it. I do. Kylie, I really enjoy it. And every time I've left it, or, when I've left it briefly, or I've gone into bookkeeping, and I always end up coming back to trust accounting. I've always loved it. Love property, anything property. Yeah, I love it.
That's so good. You've obviously found your passion and your little niche, which is amazing. Now,
Yeah,
we are coming up to end of financial year,
yeah, yep.
which can cause, and myself included, causes that little bit of a buzz. Oh my God, it's end of financial year. It's end of financial year. What have we got to do? What have we got to prepare? So talk us through what we do need to prepare so that we can stay calm and
And
get through
stay
it
calm.
smoothly. Yeah.
Yeah, you should stay calm. It's not that big of a deal. Everyone stresses about it. It's just another day. Running the reports is just a push of a button. So, really, the work is done leading up to it. So, this next couple of weeks in June are probably the things that you want to sort of prepare for. So, it's, making sure that all your bills are paid or anything that needs to be paid before 30th of June is paid. So, check, do your owners have available funds to pay everything? Whether it's a maintenance bill or whatever it might be that they want to claim in this financial year, making sure that that's actually entered, they've got funds and get that paid. So that's one thing. Checking to see what reports are you running. So every software has different report formats and some of them have different options. So generally I like to just pre-plan that and know exactly which report do you want to run, which format, because there's annual formats, monthly formats, there's landscape, there's portrait, there's all sorts of grouping formats. So just being aware of which report you want to run, making sure that all your contacts have got email addresses and the right information in them so that when you do run those reports, they're going to get those reports and they're in the right name. So quite often we see people that have got their properties in the name of, say, Nicole Johnston or Kylie Walker, but actually it's the family trust of Kylie Walker. Right, so just making sure that it's in the right name, and that really comes down to a bit of a compliance thing as well, so making sure that you know who the owner of the property actually is. Is it Kylie Walker or is it Kylie Walker's family trust? They are two different things. So checking those contact details, making sure they're correct, and then the only other thing you really need to do is make sure that your email that you're going to send out with your end of financial year has got all the information on it that you want. Do you want to put any marketing in there before you send it? Did you want to put any links in there to your office, perhaps a current listing you've got up for sale or something like that? You might put some marketing in there, or even some information. You might have some links to some tax legislation, some tax reporting to help your owners. Anything that might be of value to them, you might want to include in that email. So just having that template ready. And
I
then
would
that's
say
it.
in that template, include the link to your landlord's portal. If they can't download it there
Yeah,
and then,
yeah,
or including that link, that I
yeah.
always include that in that email.
Yeah, I would include those links in just about every communication, to be honest, so that they can always have access to it and are prompted to look at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because there's the amount of emails that you get after end of financial year. So you send out that and then you get all these emails back. Where's my end of financial year statement? We sent that out 3 weeks ago. Check your inbox. But then we don't actually say that, of course, but then we have to then
Yeah.
go back and resend it to them. So I always also find that I give them a warning, we're going to be running end of month, next end of financial year next week. This is what to expect. Look out on the first, is when we'll
Yeah.
be sending through that statement. Here's what you need to know. Here's, I guess, if there's, depreciation contacts, you've got connections there,
Yeah.
sending them the links to that as well. So, but yeah, I think I like those tips. I think that's really valuable
And
tips.
I think the other thing to remember too is that depending on the software, if there's something that an owner has paid directly, you can add that in afterwards and don't feel the need to send those reports out on the 1st of July. You don't have to. It can be a week later, right? Nobody does their tax on the 1st of July, let's be real. So if it's a few days later, that's okay too. And try and, I guess, preempt your owners, perhaps send a communication out sooner rather than later to say, you can expect your end of financial year report to be sent at this time. And you will also be able to download it from your portal and include that link as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we don't need to stress about end of financial
No,
year.
you
It's
do
just
not.
another day in property management. So tell
Correct.
me, you obviously work with a lot of software, and is there any particular software that's easier to use, easier to navigate? What's like, what is
Look,
the
there
rule of
are
thumb?
there are pros and cons for every single one, right? So if we just look at property management and we look at the three big ones, let's be real, they're PropertyMe, PropertyTree, and Console, right? They're the three big ones. They all have their pros and cons. From a trust accounting perspective, probably prefer PropertyMe, to be honest. It's probably a bit simpler. PropertyTree and Console Cloud are very close seconds, though. They're pretty good as well. They have features that PropertyMe doesn't have, and vice versa. So it's what are you comfortable with? That's from a trust accounting perspective. From a property management perspective, you get different property managers that are comfortable doing things a particular way over the other. It's much of a muchness, to be honest, Kylie. I personally prefer PropertyMe, but
Yeah.
I do think the others are good as well, and definitely some people prefer them over PropertyMe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about there's new software programs coming in now that saying they're trustless? Talk to me about that. I mean, you still need to have a trust account, don't you? Regardless, and you still need to have that
Yeah.
audited. So yeah, talk me through the pros and cons of those, I guess, software programs and what you know about them.
Yeah, so look, there are a couple of them that are out there, and certainly Colmio's looking pretty good. It's certainly putting a lot of money into their development. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. And we've had some exposure also with Managed App. Yes, you still need a trust account for bond claims and if you want to receive funds from the owner to pay bills or something like that, you need a trust account. So it doesn't actually eliminate trust accounting, unfortunately. So you're still going to need that audit done, like you just said. So it's hard to get away from it. I think the pros of it is, feeling like you don't have to do a reconciliation, but you do because you've got a trust account to do that. So you're going to need software to manage that as well. And that's probably where I kind of like Colmio in that it does have that flexibility and the option to have the trust accounting tacked onto it as well because they've recognised that, which I think is good. So something to be aware of. I mean, I like all technology right now. Everything's changing, right? AI is changing. It's changing all the time. Just you've got to keep abreast of it. You've got to keep a watch on it. You've got to keep across, what's coming up. Try everything. So every time there's a new feature with a software, I'd say to you, have a go of it, crack it, have a good crack of it, try it out. Does it actually work? Is it beneficial? Because these things are changing so quickly right now and you need to be on top of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I'm loving all the changes. They're like, yeah, and everybody's scared of AI, but things like trust accounting, the AI is never going to be able to replace that. Getting tenants to pay their rent in advance, the AI is not going to change that.
Yeah,
There's just some things that AI is not going to be able to do. So,
there is, and there's also, we're using it, we're using technology to help us with, for instance, reconciliations. Sometimes you get a tenant that's querying something or an owner and you're trying to work out what it is and you want to reconcile it. Or even if a client comes to us and says, oh, we haven't balanced for, dare I say, 12 months, we use software to actually automate some of that reconciliation process. So you've got to keep across it and use it, try it out, because if it can benefit your job and make things more efficient for you, then why wouldn't you try it?
Yeah.
And it's accelerating so quickly. If you're not on top of it, you're going to get left behind.
Absolutely. So talk to me then. You work with a lot of businesses across the country now. So what are some of the biggest issues that you see, or the problems that people are experiencing with their trust accounting? What are some of the things that we don't know about trust accounts that we should know? Where are people getting in trouble or getting stuck with things? Yeah, just give us a bit of an overview, a snapshot of what you see inside businesses.
Yeah, I think the main thing I would say to you is adjustments. There are, some states will allow you to put adjustments in for a certain value. I'm very much anti-adjustment. If you're putting an adjustment in, it's because you don't have a balanced trust account. And to me, that's a no-no. So you should never put adjustments in unless it's like I would say to you, call me before you put an adjustment in. Would rather help you and fix it for you than have you put an adjustment in, and it'll sit there for years. And we see that so often where people come to us 12 months later and go, I've got these adjustments from 12 months ago and my auditor wants me to get rid of them. That's, we're not seeing those. We, as agents, our licensees are not understanding adjustments on their end of month reports, and they're signing them off and not realising that these adjustments are just building and they're just carrying on for years.
So what do you do with them then? So when it comes in, because so for me, for example, I try to use like the DEF system, but I still have some tenants that will absolutely refuse it, and we have to give them our bank account details. What happens when they pay over the counter? Then we don't have a reference for them sometimes. So those payments come in, we've got no reference. We'll go back and do all of our due diligence to try and find it. We can't find it. So what do we do with that then, instead of sitting it as an adjustment? If you are anything like me, you think you know your rent roll numbers. Well, I thought I did until I had a rent roll health check, and I was quite literally shocked. The money I was leaving on the table was astounding, and this is not something that I'm proud to admit. There were missed management fees, let fees, advertising, and lease renewal fees not being charged, and properties even without bonds. And all of this was happening despite monthly audits being conducted in my business. So how did I uncover all these gaps in my valuable income? Well, I had a rent roll due diligence from my good friend Tazi, aka the Rent Roll Queen and founder of the Tazi Way, a specialist in rent roll due diligence, business valuation, and management rights. The Tazi Way is the innovative force driving the real estate industry. With 25 years of business and real estate acumen, they find gaps and risks in your agency to find undiscovered value. If you'd like to book your business in for a rent roll due diligence, head to the link in the show notes and mention That Property Mum for a 10% discount. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is KOLMEO.
Yeah, so we would use an unknown ledger account so that it's actually on your trial balance, and you know, but you're then creating a receipt for that. You can then do, like you said, the due diligence to try and work out who it is, who it belongs to. Now, depending on which state you are, if you can't find it and it sits there for 12 months or 24 months, you'll then have to lodge that with unclaimed funds. So you would then move that into an unclaimed funds ledger and then send that off to unclaimed funds, which is not ideal. I try and encourage people to try and find it first as much as you can, because you send money off to the SRO and it's gone. Very difficult for anyone to get back. It breaks my heart when I see people having to lodge, $10,000, $5,000, and I just think that's a holiday or something, Like don't do that if you can help it. So we do try to make sure that we check our balances, those holding balances, those unknown balances. Well, unknown we review every day, but generally balances across our whole trust we review once a month, so that we can stay on top of anything that's been sitting there for any length of time and get on top, because usually it's like a tenant that's overpaid, their stupid 20 cents extra that they did or whatever ridiculous amount, and it's annoying, but you got to get rid of it. It's not your money, it's trust money, you've got to deal with it. So get that refund happening. Get those tenant bank details straight away and refund it. Don't hold on to them, because they'll just sit there forever and a day.
No, that's
adjustments though, like
adjustments, yep.
Big no, please don't. And licensees, when you're signing off your end of month, check that adjustments line entry on your bank reconciliation. It'll be the page that you've got to sign off on. There's a clear line that says adjustments. You want to make sure you're across those and pay attention to them. Get them resolved. Yeah.
What about uncleared funds? Do you have any, what's your recommendations with that? Because we've had a few issues with that, and our auditor actually had picked this up recently, where, so the funds were dishonored. The funds dishonored at the end of month. So the end of month balance didn't balance up with the start of month balance. Does that make sense? Because the funds are dishonored, and yeah.
Are you talking about PropertyMe?
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a number of clients that have direct debits, for example, and so they have clearance days set on them. So ideally you'd have a clearance day set, but it's still going to dishonour, right? So you receive funds, let's say on the 31st of May, but it dishonoured on the 1st of June. And you receipted it to rent on the 31st of May, but in PropertyMe, if you reverse it, it reverses it as at the 31st of May, but in fact it didn't come out till June, yeah?
Yep.
So what we do is we'll reverse the receipt and then re-receipt it to tenant deposit on the 31st of May, which is when it physically came into the bank. So that then reconciles your trust for the 31st of May. And then in June, the 1st of June, you then do a process of withdrawal, an account folio withdrawal.
Okay.
So do a folio withdrawal to account the dishonour.
Right.
So that then it balances.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
So any other little tips like that?
That's my little trick for dishonor.
Yeah, that's good.
They are a pain in the backside, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Over end of month. Any other time of the month, it's fine. It's just end of month. Yeah, so do that. Oh, goodness, tips and tricks. I've got thousands. Troy, have you got what other tips and tricks? Oh, fees. Fees.
Yes. Fees, yes.
People who do not get their fees, their agency fees, and they have all these manual spreadsheets. And I'm in finance. I love a good spreadsheet. But if I don't have to do anything manually, I won't. And if you're doing a manual spreadsheet, that's when you're likely to come up with errors. You miss something. So if you set up your fee types correctly in the back end of your software, so whether it's PropertyMe Console or PropertyTree or any other software that you're using, set up your fee types and set the triggers up so that they automatically charge. So for instance, in PropertyMe, if you set up a lease renewal and you trigger that lease renewal in PropertyMe, it'll automatically charge that fee. So you never miss a fee. Don't miss fees. It's just crazy when I hear people say that they've missed out on leasing fees or advertising fees. You should have them set up to automatically trigger. And it's so easy to set up. It just amazes me that people don't do that. Set your fees up.
I actually don't have my lease renewal fees set up, so there you go.
Kylie, we are going to do that.
Yes.
Let's get on and do that together.
I know. I have multiple checks. So I have my VA's check, I have my property manager's check, and then my trust accountant checks at the end of the month. She goes through all the but anyway, but it's a long, arduous process.
But that's 3 people checking.
Yes, I know, exactly.
That's time.
Exactly. And money.
You can have it automated.
Yep, I know. It's crazy.
Technology, use it, automate it.
Oh my goodness, you're sharing so much
Yep.
value here. So many things I am learning. I'm going to have to get my team to sit back and listen to this episode as well. So they're some of the main things that you see in the back
Yeah.
ends when you're working with
Yeah.
agencies. So and obviously, and I've been guilty of this. You have a property manager that doesn't want to do property management anymore, so they don't necessarily have the skill set to be a trust accountant, but you sidestep them into the trust accounting role. And I've had a lot of that over the years. But now with the technology, it's not really full-time work. So talk to me about like what you guys do and the value of outsourcing as opposed to, having a staff member
Yeah. Look,
in-house.
I mean, obviously, it's cheaper than employing someone full time, and you're getting somebody who's experienced like myself that's been doing it for 20 years. But so we employ senior trust accountants. So we've got a team, and across Australia, so that we're across all of the different legislation. Although I think I said to you earlier, trust accounting is basically common sense. It's somebody else's money, so don't do anything wrong with it, and you're pretty much covered all legislation. We don't offshore our team, so they are here in Australia. We do have an offshore back end team that helps with administration and business and that sort of thing, but yeah, they're not actually trust accountants. And look, we do have a team that really cares about what they do and loves what they do. That is their passion, like me. So I think you get that and you feel that within our team and within the service that we provide.
I know. I was just saying about the benefits of outsourcing. And how many hours a day would you need somebody to do trust accounting? So, say I got you on to do my trust accounting. How does that look? Like how many hours? Yeah,
Yeah, look, and it varies. It varies depending on the size of your portfolio and also, forgive me for saying, but the ability of your property managers and what they understand or don't understand in the finance side of things. And some people get it and some people don't. Some people can answer those basic questions, and what I see basic, I shouldn't be disrespectful because it's not easy for everybody. It's like property management's not easy for me. So it depends how much, kind of you're able to answer. If an owner
not
questions you on
much.
their finances, so some people can't. And so, we might have to provide you a little bit more service there in being able to answer those questions, help you educate you on how to answer those questions. We do like to try and help you understand and teach you as so that you can give the best service to your clients, right? Because if you've got an owner screaming at you on the phone, we want you to be able to, if you can, answer that query then and there and not say, oh, I have to go to my trust accountant and ask them. And obviously, we're there to help and support you with those, and we're happy to, draft emails for you and communications for you to help you with that. Because sometimes things can get quite complex. So I guess we're there to try and provide you that level of service and be part of your team. We don't want to be seen as an external party. We really want to be part of your team. But it really does depend on, yeah, the service that you want, whether you want a full trust accounting service that's, bank recs every day, end of month done, processing your bills, answer all your queries, or whether you only want part of that. How often do you want your disbursements done, or do you want to do those yourself? That sort of thing. So there's lots of things that go into it depending on all of those as to how long it takes. Generally, our team manage anywhere between 4 to 8 clients, and that depends on the size of the client and their needs, whether they're require that extra little bit of support or not. Yeah, it varies client to client. Everybody's a little bit different, right? So you've just got to work with people and what they can do and can't do themselves. Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, you're very flexible in what you can
Yeah.
and can't help with, and
Yeah.
sort of I guess customize a service, your
Yeah.
services to the individual offices. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm just going to move on to a question I ask everybody on the podcast, and that's about personal development.
Yeah.
Do you have a book, a tool, a resource, a podcast, something that you can recommend anyone listening that might help them?
Look, I don't really have a specific tool or podcast. No, I think it's good to, you know, watch and learn from anyone and everyone. I think you can get different advice and different opinions from different people. So I wouldn't just rely on one person. I would be trying to look at different resources. I know myself, I've got like I suppose, like a tribe of people that I like to go to, and always ask questions. So don't be afraid to ever ask questions. And it doesn't matter what you might see as being really silly. I had one team member start last year and she would ask so many questions and she's like, I'm so sorry, it's so silly. But her questions were never silly. They were never stupid. There's never a stupid question. And have those people that you can go to and ask questions of, and be your support. I guess now that we've got a business now where we've got a team of trust accountants, but for a long time we didn't. You would basically be a trust accountant sitting in an office on your own and have no one to sort of ask. But now I've got a team around me that we can workshop different things together. So don't be afraid to ask questions of different people. There's so many different events and things out there, and they don't have to be all property management related. I know Nina Sutton does a lot of events that are a little bit different for the industry, where she has some speakers that are not from the industry. And I found that quite refreshing, to be honest, to hear from different people and get that motivation. I think that's really good for your own personal development. It doesn't have to be about your business and business growth. I think personal development's good too. I think we all benefit from that, and it helps us communicate and relate to people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we actually met at one of Nina's events, one of her solitude events. And I often think that it's the things that you learn away from your business that actually move your business needle in a different or better, or give you a better perspective on things, as opposed to being in the trenches day in, day out. So yeah, I mean, I know I had a lot of takeaways and insights, even just stepping out of the business for a week. And I'm not sure if you felt the same, but you kind of get a bit more clarity. Even last week I was off sick. I had surgery and I had a week of bed rest, which is unheard of for me. And because I was recovering from, the anesthetic and stuff, I couldn't even think straight to do work. But I just sort of, I journaled and I listened to meditation music and just really chilled out. And I just had so many ideas and new things and thoughts coming to me. It gave me a lot of clarity around some stuff that I was stuck on in the businesses. So that's great advice. Thank you for that.
Even I went to the Rise conference this year, which was only a couple of months ago, I think.
May. They were all in May.
Yes, it was really busy, and that was fantastic. And that was all about well-being and everything. So yes, it's part of the real estate industry, but I really got so much out of it. And Yelena Dockage was speaking there, right? Not from our industry, but so inspirational. Talking about having your tribe, that was one of her big things as well, was having that person that you can go to and ask questions for and be your support and pump you up when you need to be. We all need that.
Absolutely, we do.
And look, and I'd encourage, just because I didn't have it in my own career so much, of having a team of trust accountants around me all the time, that if there are others out there that want to ask a question, please reach out. I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Yep, I'm definitely going to get my trust accountant. I'm definitely going to get my trust accountant to reach out to you and have a chat. So
I love it. So I'm more than happy to answer. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? What's the best place to get you on?
Yeah, so you can get us through our website, trustedfigures.com, or if you want to email me directly, my email's nicole@trustedfigures.com, or you can call us on 1300 103 207.
And it's trusted without the E, isn't it?
It is, but look, to be honest, we have all different spellings of it because we know nobody will get it right. So it doesn't matter how you spell it, I'll still get it.
Beautiful. Amazing. Thank you so much, Nicole. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.